Albanese government has marked its first year in office. Mr Albanese was signed in as Prime Minister a year ago yesterday. He marked the occasion in a much similar way as he began in the role on the sidelines of a Quad meeting in Japan. For more on this, let's bring in my colleague and former Labor Minister, Graham Richardson. Richo, how do you rate the first year in office for the Albanese government? Oh,
you'd have to give him a pretty big tick, I think. He's much more popular than he was when he won. Obviously, the Australian people are pretty happy with his performance. His party's very happy with his performance, and the Liberals are really struggling. You add all those things up, and you've got to say Anthony's had a big year.
A few challenges looming. Ongoing rate rises, one of them that he's got to try and navigate. I guess if you look out to the next election, they'll be hoping at that point rates will be coming back down. If they can keep the economy chugging along, they might be well placed.
Yeah, well, I think that's the plan, and it's a good plan. And of course, you've got Chalmers as the one driving the plan. And Chalmers has shown, I think, that he is a spectacularly good minister, a great treasurer. And I think the good thing about him is he's a persuader. He doesn't shove it down people's throat. He's somebody who's prepared to run the argument and run it wherever people want him to run it. He's all over the place, and I think he's done a terrific job.
Richo, I know you're not convinced about the arguments on the Voice. Does it make it even more difficult to prosecute the case for a voice to Parliament when things aren't going that well in terms of day-to-day cost of living? I know they're not related issues, but are people less willing to open themselves to debates on other matters like the Voice?
No, well, they're not related issues, but that having been said, people are always going to want to talk about cost of living. There's never a time when cost of living isn't important. But I've got to say there are a lot of times when people would say the Voice is not important. That being the case, I know where I'd be focusing my attentions were I in government.
Richo, great to chat. See you next week.